Because the girl gave it away.
Oh, that's how you know? Last week I talked about how James was going for a sweat chloride test. And if you stick around to the end, I am going to give you a Sadie update because she did go to her doctor, and I have an update on the results of her pulmonary function test and her asthma. She can't catch up with us, we're so fast! Thankfully, by the time I posted that video, we already had the results back. We were able to get him in for the testing really quickly. We got the test results back the same afternoon that he went for the testing, which was awesome because it was stressful finding out that he should have the test and that it was stressful waiting for him to have the test. Even though it was only a few days, it would have been stressful waiting any longer for the test results. But when we were walking out to our car, the tech who did the test walked us part way. I asked her how long it should be until we should expect the test results. And she said that the hospital would have them back by that afternoon. That afternoon, I called our doctor's office and I asked them if they had them in yet, and they did. And so the nurse called me back and she gave me the results, and that both of his arms came back as 14, which is totally normal. Anything above 60 is abnormal, so they were really, really, really normal, which is awesome. So that was done. I guess that was one of the ways that I realized how having the unknown variant from Paul and I is scary in a way that I didn't realize when it was brought up by the doctor that this was something that should be looked at. And for those of you who don't know, the sweat chloride test was to eliminate the possibility of cystic fibrosis. I knew that cystic fibrosis can affect more than one part of the body, more than just the lungs. What I didn't realize was that sometimes it can be a gastro thing, I guess. And so that was why there was concern. Honestly, that was probably the weirdest part of that entire thing. Was the whole time I kept expecting somebody to say that it wasn't possible because we had the full exome testing and because they do so many of those tests when babies are babies. But basically it was just that it was not very likely, but that it was still something that was in the realm of possibility that needed to be eliminated. And now we have eliminated it. I did make that morning as fun as I possibly could for James. I had watched videos of the sweat chloride test on YouTube. If you have a kid who is going to have the sweat chloride test, don't have them watch this video because all of the videos that I found that had little kids sitting there for it basically described it as like, oh, your arm gets warm and your arm tingles and that's it. And all the little kids that were having it done were like sitting there and smiling and totally fine. That was definitely not how it went for us. And I had promised James beforehand that he could pick out a toy before this test, and that when it was over he could have the toy. We had watched the videos of the little kids going through it all smilingly and easily, and we had even practiced with stickers, putting little stickers on his arms, which is not what it's actually like. But the reason that I was worried was because he has a lot of sensory touch things going on with him, and he has since he was tiny. I mean, he is like the kid that freaked out about socks and would sob about wearing socks. He didn't wear socks for like a year because it just was not worth the battle of hysterical crying for an hour over socks. And so even though he completely wears socks now, I know that he will be upset about the idea of having a Band-Aid on. And so the idea of this test where there was going to be something on his arm and it was going to be wrapped up on his arm, I knew that that was potentially going to be a problem. And so it was. It wasn't just because of the sensory part, it was because it was pretty uncomfortable. And from what the tech who did it said, most of the little kids who get it done cry. So that was different from what I found from all the other YouTube videos that described it as something that you hardly feel. It was very clear that he was definitely feeling it when it was happening. I mean, it's not supposed to be painful, but it was supposed to feel like his arm was going to sleep. And for a preschooler, that's definitely something that can be upsetting. Anyways, so I'm going to give you a glimpse into what our sweat chloride test day was like, because we did film it, because I did try to make it as much fun as possible for him, just because he'd had so many back-to-back appointments. He'd had a dentist appointment the day before, he'd had his neurology appointment, that I decided to just kind of make it into a fun time for me and him to get some one-on-one time before he had to go and do this thing that wasn't going to be fun. So come along with us for this test that, thank goodness, was completely and totally normal.
Baby? Baby.
Is he your baby?
I'm not the baby.
Is he your big boy?
Yeah.
Is he your monkey? She made the monkey sound. I think she thinks you're George.
I'm not so. Guess what?
What?
Alphabet has a best friend, and his name is Sadie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And he's an ant.
Whoa.
A real one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm serious. Baby Dennis?
Huh? The baby went to the dentist and they cleaned his teeth.
I'm not the baby.
Oh, yeah, I know. She still thinks of you as her baby. That's why she calls you baby. Just kind of like how Maggie will always be my baby even though she's big. You will always be my baby. Is that silly? Daddy's home.
Look behind that cat car right there. Look behind that.
Look behind it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right here? You mean at the Gecko Mobile?
I was hoping we could get that. Oh,
Do you like that one better than the one with the Night Ninja?
No, I'd rather
Or
do
better than the Puppy Dog Palace?
It's not a puppy dog
Okay, Playhouse?
Playhouse.
Oh, there's so many decisions. This is so tough.
Hey, there's only one
Can I see
gecko
it?
seat. There's only a gecko seat.
Yeah. Oh, so awesome, huh?
That's why this even awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe this can be for Patrick. Maybe this can be for Patrick and me.
Well, don't you think Patrick's going to want to play with it with you?
Yeah, everybody can play with me.
Oh, that's so sweet. That was a tough decision.
But who's gonna play it off?
I don't know. Who? Sadie?
Who could make all of this happen?
We'll have to see. You?
Yeah, I'm gonna play with it at my house today.
After the test? High five?
Hi, Pa.
Hi, Pa.
That's what Bingo and
Bingo
Wally
always
say. What kind of do you have?
I have
Pink. And I have
orange.
What kind is that? What?
Mine is, I can't remember. Is it the best? What?
Tell the doctors I'm your baby. Okay?
Okay. Did you say don't tell the doctors you're my baby?
Yeah. Don't tell.
Button?
Don't tell. I'm gonna get you a surprise.
Shh.
A real one.
Press the button.
From my bedroom.
Which makes fine details more visible, meaning better breast
Who is it now?
and a reduced chance of being called back for additional
That's like a
screenings.
radio thing.
Early detection saves lives. Talk to your provider about scheduling a
Can I open this one or the one that's right behind you? I have a dog and well, let's go to another one.
Are you ready for your
Another
test?
chair.
No.
Yeah.
These are our chairs. We're not going to run all around the hospital.
Because the girl gave it away.
Oh, that's how you know?
Wow.
So how was it?
Good. Awesome.
Was it better or worse than you thought it was going to be?
Better. And look at what I got on Moti.
So cool, right?
And look at a puppy dog pal.
How did your arms feel?
Good.
Good job. Ready to go?
I'm going to tell you my story. Once upon a time, what happened?
Oh, Bingo and Rolly are the best. What do you think? Thumbs up? Is it
it good? Oh my goodness. Which is your favorite cake, the rainbow one? Oh, buddy!
I got the doghouse.
You did?
The doghouse.
Now for Sadie. For those of you who haven't watched the videos, Sadie is our 10-year-old who will be turning 11 soon, and she has suddenly developed what appears to be asthma. Now this wasn't super shocking. I have asthma that's pretty mild, although it's definitely been flaring up this spring, about as bad as it has ever been, or I would say worse than it's ever been. And my husband has asthma also. That's probably more comparable to Sadie's, although also more controlled than Sadie's had been when it just suddenly appeared. And she was hospitalized last month because of her asthma. So she went to her first pulmonary function test. However, when she went in for her pulmonary function test, she'd been taking all of the medications, including the plan that they had for her at that point was to use her albuterol every 4 hours, and so she had taken it. The test was scheduled super last minute, and so she'd taken her albuterol like 2 hours before she'd gone in for her pulmonary function test. So she went in, and they said that her function was within the normal range because she'd taken her albuterol right before we went in, but that there was marked improvement. They did a nebulizer treatment in the middle of it, and then they had her do more, and they said that there was marked improvement with the nebulizer treatment, which was consistent with what they thought, which was that she has a diagnosis of asthma. Her doctor said that that confirms the diagnosis of asthma, even though it was in the normal range, because she'd used her inhaler right before she went in, and that they were downgrading, I don't know if you'd call it upgrading or downgrading, I guess downgrading her asthma to moderate persistent now, because it's gone on and it isn't brand new anymore, I guess, because she's still having attacks, although now that she's on QVAR, she's on Singular, and she has the albuterol that she's only taking twice a day instead of every 4 hours now. And I think that's it. Yeah, that is what we are up to now. At this point, it's pretty well controlled. I mean, she only has to use her inhaler maybe as a rescue inhaler, apart from when she uses it separately. She uses it maybe once or twice a week, and usually that's like PE or recess or something like that when she needs it, because she's been running around and she brings on an asthma attack. So that is the Sadie update. According to her doctor, she does in fact have asthma after that pulmonary function test, but she is definitely doing a lot better. According to her, she can run faster than she could before all of this started, I think as a result of finally being able to breathe. I kind of suspect that this was sort of like the not being able to breathe through her nose and not realizing that that was just how it was for everybody, that the being slower than everybody else was definitely a function of her always being asthmatic, and that as it's now getting more controlled, that's why she's suddenly faster than everybody else. That's it for today. If you like this video, we'd love it if you'd hit that thumbs up button. And if you're interested in all things autism, which is what we usually talk about around here, we'd love it if you would hit subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.